So the breaking news is that FKA Twigs, who we also know as Talia Debrett Barnett, has just brought a civil claim against Shia LaBeouf for domestic abuse. Now, all of the claims that are being made at this point are just allegations. We don't know if these things are true or not, but it just offers us an opportunity, I think, to be able to talk about how you see the signs early that someone you're dating might be a perpetrator and how to take action. And also, if you have a problem with perpetration, then what to do and how to take action to be able to take responsibility for your own behaviour and your own internal world yourself. So, you have to take your hat off, I think, to FKA Twigs. I certainly just think it's really brave and courageous for her, given what a high-profile career she has, that she's been prepared to come forward in this way, and that she's basically saying, I want other women to know that they're not on their own, and also to know the early signs, the warning signs that tell you that you might be in a relationship with a perpetrator. I think this is just wonderful. So let's just talk about the early signs that a partner that you're with could be a perpetrator. Well, one of the things that Shia did, according to Talia, is that he was very quick to say, I love you, and that there were very big, grand gestures of love. And now, you have to take this, situation by situation, but sometimes this is an indication that the person is not really able to emotionally regulate. They move too quickly. They want certainty when they feel deeply about somebody. They want certainty very quickly. And this can tell you that they need to slow down. And they need to manage themselves a bit better. Now, of course, one of the really obvious signs is unreasonable jealousy. So this is really clear. And then there are some other things like cutting you off from family and friends, so isolating you. This can be an early sign, and you want to be able to take action on it quickly. Embarrassing you, humiliating you in front of other people, criticizing you often, telling you what to wear and wanting to control how you look, and making you feel small. So all of these things, which can be justified relatively easy, you really need to be able to notice early. And really, this is well before they're throwing punches or getting angry or blaming you for the abuse that they're perpetrating against you, or threatening to kill you or someone else. And so what can you do? Well, notice early, act on your intuition and believe in yourself. And, one of the things that's really important when you're with someone who might be afraid of the way they feel about you and how vulnerable it makes them is to slow them down. Slow them down on saying I love you and grand gestures and wanting to move in and wanting to exchange rings and wanting some sort of commitment. Just get them to slow down. This is really important. The other thing is populate the relationship with friends and family. This is a really good idea, and it can help prevent isolation. Listen to your friends and family when they say that there are warning signs. Identify and call out the behaviour that worries you and require accountability. The other thing I think that's so important is people say they felt sort of controlled, almost mentally controlled by the perpetrator. So it's really important to notice hypnotizing gestures like emotional intensity. When someone comes to you and it's super strong and super intense, well, sometimes that's nothing. Sometimes it's a signal that there's a hypnotic quality in the relationship that could later become a problem. And justifications for the controlling behaviour, you just need to be able to call these really quickly. Gaslighting, so telling you that something that happened didn't really happen. And blaming you. Well, these things, you just need to act. You need to believe in yourself. You need to make sure that you have people around you who you trust and who can help you. This is really important. Now, we talk about survivors and, what do we do when the perpetrator has their own set of symptoms and problems that explain the bad behaviour? Well, first thing is, perpetrators have to be held to account for their behaviour. They need to be punished for behaving inappropriately and abusively. This is super clear, right? So this is not about excusing behaviour. But in Shia's case, he claims to have been diagnosed with PTSD related to childhood. And this is usually PTSD from childhood becomes complicated or complex. And so what does that mean? Well, if you are someone who has a tendency to get afraid in relationships, to get over anxious really quickly about your partner's behaviour, you need to look at whether you might have a PTSD-like problem. And so what are you looking for? You're looking for an inner critic, an outer critic, where you're judging everybody else too much. Shame and self-hatred and self-blame that gets really toxic. A fear of abandonment and abandoning yourself. Social anxiety and fragile self-esteem. Attachment disorder. Now, this is a big issue. Anxious attachment is a particular kind of style of attachment where the person who is anxious gets really afraid and attempts to control the partner and sees in the partner behaviour that may or may not be there, but in response to behaviour in their partner that they feel they see that is questionable, they move closer to the partner and attempt to control them instead of being a bit distant and watching and waiting a bit longer, like reserving their judgment on whether this is the right partner or not. The other thing is a hair-triggered fight or flight response. So fight is punch or kill, and flight is run. And so, so losing control of fight or flight is a really common symptom for complex PTSD. Oversensitivity to stress and suicidal thoughts and gestures and feelings are common. And in terms of the claims made about Shia, you can see quite a few of them here. He's got suicidal gestures. He's basically putting himself in really dangerous situations, drinking, driving, etc. He's got a hair-triggered anger response, and he's clearly got concerns about attachment disorder if these claims are true. And so what can you do if you see this in yourself? Well, acknowledging the problem is really important, and seeking help. A counsellor, going to your local community health service or your local government service and seeing what sort of support groups they have. There are often good support groups for men in local neighbourhoods, and you can get connected to them and get the support that you need. Slowing down and relaxing is a really important part of the work. Being here in the present and using relaxation techniques and doing body work, this is very important for you. So identifying your emotional limits, they're only your limits right now, you can change them over time. So identifying those limits and working within them. So not wanting to get too much too quickly. That's a really important part of this strategy. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching. I will post regularly on coaching and counselling advice related to breaking news events that happen around the world, and hope that you'll join me and subscribe.